Hi there, I'm Angela. Welcome to the channel or welcome back, and today I have a pattern review for you. If that sounds interesting, stay tuned. I recently made Vogue V1630 and I just did the pants, just an FYI. I haven't done the top, although the top looks pretty interesting. I can imagine that I will probably try making that one day. But for now, I'm just doing a review on the pants part of the pattern. So this is, like I mentioned, a Vogue pattern, and it was published in 2019. It is still in print, readily available if you were interested in trying it yourself. For the pants, the recommended fabrics are stretch wovens. That's all you get. So they are just pull-on pants, so that's why stretch wovens. And I used, I think it was a stretch cotton sateen. I will put a link to both the pattern, and if the fabric that I bought, which was from Mood Fabrics, if it's still available, I'll put a link below in case you're interested. If you've been watching my channel for a little while now, you've definitely seen the fabric. It's the summertime fabric with all the little dogs on it. So link will be below. And the size range for the pants, turn it over. The hip size range goes from 34.5 inches to 57 inches. So that seems pretty generous. I think the big four pattern makers are starting to get the hint that not everybody is like a size 2 model. So yeah, and in centimeters, that is for the hip 87.5 to 145 centimeters. So the instructions were pretty easy to follow overall. I did make significant changes to the waistband and the way that the elastic goes into these pants pretty significantly. I'll get more into a little bit of detail about that here in a minute. I do want to point out that there was a lot of good instruction in this pattern. It was almost as if it was written for someone who maybe had never made a pair of pants. And it's actually a Sandra Betzina pattern, Today's Fit, and there was so much helpful information in here, so I'll go into more of that here in a little bit too. So let's look at the helpful information first, and I'm not sure if this is something that Vogue is starting to do with all of their patterns, or it looks like maybe because it's classified or designed by Sandra Betzina and it's a Today's Fit type of pattern, and she gives, or whoever, I guess if it was Sandra or whoever wrote the pattern instructions, a lot of information right here talking about before you start. And that's a lot, and it's a little small print, so I'm not expecting you guys to be able to read all that, especially not very quickly. I just kind of wanted to show you how much instruction there is on the fitting. So she talks about using an extra large seam allowance, maybe adding up to an inch of fit insurance at the side seams, which I did do. And it turns out, because I was kind of fell in between sizes and sized up, adding that extra inch to the side seams for me wasn't necessary because I had already kind of sized up. I could have gotten away with just cutting the straight pattern and making my waist and crotch adjustments. She talks about if you have a big tummy, how to accommodate that. If you have, quote unquote, a large butt, it actually says that in here. I thought that was funny. So if you have a large butt, you add 3/4 inch to the back inner leg at the crotch point, and then tapering to 0 by the bottom of the pant, and then adding 1 inch to the top of the center back seam. So it's really going into a lot of fit adjustments, which I kind of appreciated. So regarding the fit instructions that I find were so helpful, especially maybe if you're newer to sewing pants, which I kind of am, they do have you baste the pants all together without the waistband, kind of like this picture here. Then you try them on. You make any adjustments, and once you're happy with that, then you go ahead and stitch it all together, and then you work with the waistband and put the waistband on. I ended up, for the waist and crotch curve and all that, I actually used pattern pieces just for those areas from another pair of pants that I had made that I really loved the way that they turned out, the way that they fit. So I kind of, other than adding the inch to the side seam, which the pattern instructed you to do, for the crotch, I kind of just ignored all that and used my pattern template from the other pair of pants, and it worked out pretty good. I had to end up like taking some in and adjusting for sway back, which is probably something I need to start considering doing for a lot of my patterns. I've only done that a couple of times, but I'm finding that I need to do that pretty regularly these days, so I did make that adjustment as well. So because I had to baste them together first, like the whole pants were basted on, except for I did go ahead and hard stitch the pockets in, but other than that, crotch curve, inseam, side seams, it was all basted together. So that kind of served the purpose of not having to make a muslin, which I'm trying to hopefully steer away from because it just seems kind of like wasteful with the fabric. So by cutting extra generous seam allowances and then basting them together, I thought that was helpful. It did, however, add some time onto the project because then after getting the fitting right, having to unpick everything and stitch it back together, I mean, it wasn't terrible. It would have been the same amount of time had I made a muslin of these. I felt confident, though, not making a muslin and cutting directly into my good fabric just because of two things. One, I was using the template from my previous pants for the crotch curve, which for me is a tricky part, and then adding that extra generous seam allowance. Yeah, so maybe that's helpful for you. So let's see, I think that was all the fit adjustments that I made, and I'm not sure if that was helpful or if you guys have specific questions, please put them in the comments. I'll be very happy to answer anything that I can. I'm never quite sure how much detail you guys like to see, especially because I'm talking about fit for myself, and which may not apply to you guys. But I do want to talk about how the waistband is done on these pants. And as soon as I got to that part, it's on the second sheet of instructions, and I could tell right away that I did not want to do it this way because the last Vogue pants that I made also had you do the waistband this way, and I followed the instructions and I didn't really care for that construction. It was good to try it, you know, you never know if you don't try something, but I didn't really care for that construction method after all. So as soon as I saw this was going to be the same way, I kind of just kind of skipped it all and did my own waistband. I'll show you the way that they have you do the waistband. I'll get in a little closer to kind of show you guys that. So they actually have you do like 2 sets of waistbands, and one is going to be showing on the outside and the other on the inside, and they get connected right there, and it gets like folded over, but the elastic gets stitched directly onto the fabric, and that method does work. It worked for the last pair of pants that I did it on, the only other time I've tried this method, but I found it to be a little awkward and kind of a little cumbersome. I'm not sure what the right word is. I can understand like that it looks better on the outside because you don't have that casing for the elastic, so maybe it might look a little bit more polished or what have you. But as far as the construction of it, I didn't care for it too much. And with any kind of pants, pretty much, I'm always wearing a top that kind of hangs over the waistband, so you're never going to see the very top of the pants anyway. So what I ended up doing was just cutting out one set, not both sets of the waistbands, but just one, and then just folding it over. So after like I got the rest of the pants all stitched together, then I basted on the waistband portion and measured how much of a fold over that I wanted for an elastic casing. So I'll show you a little bit closer up. I ended up having enough of a fold over to use 1.5 inch elastic, which I like because it was very stable and not real flimsy. It's pretty, not like super heavy duty elastic, but strong enough that it's going to hold up. So let me get the pants and I'll show you what I'm talking about there. I'll be right back. So here are the pants. Take them off of this hanger. And you can see that I just did a fold over casing like that. And I didn't really, because I changed up the whole waistband situation pretty significantly, I kind of was just willing to work with however much fold over I had to work with. Then I would just adjust and use that size of elastic, whether it was 1 inch, 1.25, maybe even 1/2 inch. I wasn't sure, but if I had been thinking enough about it ahead of time, the wise thing would have been to make my waistband strip extra tall, just to make sure I had enough to roll over and make the casing to fold over. As luck had it, luck was with me this time because I had plenty enough at the top to fold over and make the casing, and it still fell at, like the right place on my body where I like my waistband to fit. So I felt like that was a lot of rambling. I hope it made sense. Just being honest with you that I did significantly change the waistband quite a bit. And other than that, it was pretty straightforward. They don't have back pockets, but they do have side front pockets there, although I'm not sure how much I will use those pockets because while they're not skin tight pants, they're kind of like, I wouldn't call them fitted, but they're not meant to be baggy either, like a paper bag waistbands or something like that. So anything that you put in the front pocket is going to make like a bulge, whether it's your keys or your phone or anything like that. So I might not actually use the pockets for too much, but they are very nice deep pockets. So maybe my phone could slip down in there, not look too unsightly. And just a fold over for the hem on the legs. Pretty straightforward, other than the whole waistband situation. Have you guys done a waistband like that before? Did you like it? Do you find that it's better than just doing the fold over and making a casing for your elastic? Let me know your thoughts on that. Yeah. So overall, I do like the way they turned out. I've already worn them a couple of times, and they're comfy. I like the way that they fit. They're kind of slim, but not tight, not too form-fitting. So it's kind of nice. I think if I had used maybe a dressier fabric, they could actually look pretty dressy. This is more like a, fun summertime fabric. Would I make them again? Probably. I think now that I have figured out the waistband thing and I've marked my pattern pieces up with all the adjustments that I made, putting these together again would be fast. It would be really fast because they're pretty simple. So I think I would make these again. I'm not like opposed to it. There's so many other patterns that I want to try that it's not going to be high on my soon to-do list to make another pair, but I definitely would if I had the time, or if I had just the perfect piece of fabric that would do justice to this pattern. Yeah, I probably would make them again. And would I change anything if I were to make them again? And I think I would definitely add some back pockets on. And in fact, if I do make this pattern again, I think I'm going to try to put some welt pockets in the back. I've never done welt pockets, but there's no time like the present to learn. So that probably would be the only thing that I change, and I would still continue to do my waistband the way I did it this time. So I feel like that was kind of quick yet rambly at the same time. If I missed anything or you guys have more questions, let me know. And that's pretty much about it for this pattern. I'm overall happy with them. So I will insert a couple of pictures of me wearing the pants here so you can get a better idea of how they look when they're on a person's body. So hang on for that. So what did you guys think? Let me know if you have any suggestions or if there's anything you would do differently. I'll be interested to hear your feedback. And that's pretty much it for today. I hope that you found this helpful, and I hope that you'll tune back in this weekend for Friday sews. I do have to work 2 of the days this weekend, Friday and Sunday, so I'm not sure exactly when I'll be able to get my Friday sews video posted because I'm working every day pretty much except Saturday. So I'll have to figure out like best time to film and get it posted and all that. More than likely it'll be another Saturday, Friday sews. So stay tuned for that. And I hope you're having a great week. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.